And they developed, by 1952, a flat screen, basically something like in the nature of a television screen, in which a past event was being shown. Gemelli used, or Ernetti rather, used it to prove and to derive and show the world a missing stanza, a historically missing stanza from a Roman play. And he also insisted until his death in 1994, as a very respected Catholic prelate, that they had also captured images of the crucifixion of Jesus of Nazareth. Now I know he was telling the truth because I saw a 20 to 30 minute 16 millimeter film of the crucifixion of Jesus that was being played, that was being displayed at the Sandia National Labs in Sandia, New Mexico in the summer of 1972. Now, when we left that viewing, my dad was with his longtime friend Connie Chavez, a woman that at one point that he wanted to marry, and she was just in distress watching the crucifixion of Jesus as it really happened. Jesus was an historical personage, he was crucified, and everybody in that room knew it because it wasn't a dramatized rendering of the crucifixion. It was horrendously awful to watch in light of Jesus' suffering. And we could tell, based on our understanding of the 3 New Testament accounts of the crucifixion of Jesus of Nazareth, that it was a real event and not just some purported event. I mean, you have David Icke claiming that the Bible was scripted by the Piso family of Rome. You have people now in Eastern religions who have come out and tried to show that Jesus is just a recapitulation of a previous deity. My position is that what we were watching was a real crucifixion. Do I know it was Jesus? Well, 600 Caucasian men, roughly his age, were crucified by the Roman Empire within 3 years of his alleged death. It could have been somebody else, but everything that the New Testament depicts about the execution of Jesus of Nazareth was in that film. We saw women coming to pray beneath his cross. There were 2 other crucifixion victims behind him on hillsides. He had a crown of thorns that was almost like a motorcycle helmet in size around his head, and blood was pouring down his temples and into his eye sockets and then down his cheeks and into his corner of his mouth. He was very emaciated. He was about my height, which used to be 5'10", and looks like many of the medieval paintings of Jesus. The women were chased away by a Roman centurion. I saw Longinus, one of those centurions, jump up on his left, with his right leg and standing on his left leg, and extend his arm as far as he could, holding the end of a spear shaft, piercing Jesus in the side. That was a so-called spear of destiny, being used to release the fluids that had gathered in Jesus' chest cavity. The sky grew dark at one point. So we knew it wasn't a dramatization. If it was somebody besides Jesus, how did so many of the details correspond to the New Testament accounts? There are 3 of them of his execution. The really incredible thing is not just seeing that, and as a Catholic Sunday school child being absolutely horrified by seeing the actual crucifixion of Jesus. Connie was just sort of squirming in her chair and not even most of the time able to look at the screen. At one point she actually put her hands and then looked a little bit past some of her fingers at what we were watching, which was horrific. I actually felt like evil was present in the room, like it was buzzing in the center of the room, like a hive of bumblebees or something. We get outside, and my dad says to Connie, I don't know why you're acting like that. And she said, what do you mean, Ray? They were crucifying my Lord. How was I supposed to respond? Connie Chavez was so devout that she spent her whole life helping the nuns at the San Felipe de Nero church there, that church that goes back to 1706, on the main square there in Old Town Albuquerque. It's actually older than the surrounding buildings, that church. But she was always doing things for the nuns. She was a devout believer. When they had my book and she learned she was going to die at age 53 of complications from diabetes, just 10 years in the future, she just expressed this almost visceral gasp as we were leaving a Chinese restaurant. Because my dad was showing her the year rather, and the condition under which she was going to die after double amputations of her legs from diabetes. And she just gasped with shock that she only had 10 years to live, and said, well, Ray, my faith is in Jesus Christ, and walked out of that restaurant. And that was a very vivid very vivid moment, and it really shows the measure of Connie Chavez's faith. But so my dad's saying something that's really preposterous. He's saying, I don't know why you were acting like that. She said, Ray, I mean, they were crucifying my Lord. And he said, but don't worry. She said, why not? He said, because my team also went to where Jesus was lying in the crypt, and we have the footage where 3 days later, there's a flash of light in the crypt. 2 men appear. He didn't say angels. 2 men appear. Jesus stands up, and the 3 of them push the rock away, and he walks out of his crypt. Okay, so and Connie and I were obviously very astonished. And she said, what are you saying, Ray? And he said, we also have footage of the resurrection. Now, I don't say that as a former Catholic to advocate Catholicism or any religion. I'm just reporting what happened. What happened is my father stated they had footage of the resurrection.